Kirby, you're strong in the back there, huh? All right.
You guys are just good. Go ahead.
You got second winter, second full winter. I guess what are the goals you have for the group heading into spring?
Yeah, it keeps growing, right? That's the fun part about where we're at now is where we were a year ago. Our goals are completely and totally different. We've talked about this a little bit. I think our biggest thing when we first started the offseason was the balance of the community of Lawrence is phenomenal and incredibly supportive and obviously very excited about where the program's going. And our job inside the facility every day is to not buy into any of that and to continue to press the gas as hard as we possibly can and to set and elevate new standards. Complacency can be super, super dangerous, and it's a culture killer. And so I think our first goal was just that, to make sure that when we started this offseason, when we go into spring, when we go into summer, that there is a very clear, definitive elevation of what we do, what we're requiring. You know, there's things that we require out of our leaders we weren't requiring a year ago. There's ways and things we're doing in training that we weren't doing a year ago. I think if you asked any player on the roster, it's not like something we're talking about that, oh, we've elevated the standard here, or, oh, we've elevated the expectations here. They feel it. I'd imagine if you'd ask any one of our players, they would say there's been a distinct uptick in all those things. And so I would say with that, there comes a whole host of tangible things we're trying to achieve, right? There's measurable things that we you know, from a team speed standpoint, from an overall general size standpoint, there's some things that we need to measurably improve on. And so we have some of those kind of goals specifically, but as you've heard us talk many, many times, those are always secondary to the how, to the process of what we're doing and how we're going about it. So that was our first thing is our process could not become complacent, and honestly, it couldn't become stagnant even where it was. It had to go in the right direction where we're trying to push things. So I'd say that would be the first goal we had, and then from there came some of the actual tangible, measurable things that we're looking to improve on.
You mentioned the leaders are asked to do different things. I guess can you give an example or two of some of the different standards we elevated there?
Yeah, sure. So you hear player-led teams. You hear about that all the time. I think if you asked any coach in the country, the reality of when you actually get player-led teams, there's a lot that goes into that. And I've coached very few truly player-led teams in my career. This year's team has truly has an opportunity to be player-led, and I mean player-led. There's teams that are still coach-led, and the players do a lot, and we were getting there. We're in an opportunity where we have guys that want to lead, that want to learn how to lead, and really want that responsibility, because that's the interesting thing about leadership is we did a whole leadership curriculum this offseason with our guys to where what I think that I know me personally, what I could have done better with them a year ago is we kind of talked about what leadership was. But as I looked back and really evaluated that in those conversations, I don't know how much we did of really giving them tools on how to confront, how to demand, how to encourage, how to connect, how to build trust. All those things are really challenging things, especially with young men nowadays. And so the biggest thing we've done is within these guys is we've gotten an unbelievable request for those things, and our guys, you know, so more or less once a week we have a leadership development course, and so that's mandatory for our leadership council. So we have 16 guys on leadership council right now. They have to go to that. More or less, they've said we want to be the leaders. They've been voted leaders by their peers. We're going to teach them how to lead, but we wanted to make that open to anybody. We've had over 50 guys come every single week, and so the cool thing now is you see the guys, and once again, it's not just, hey, you want to be a good leader? Okay, guys need to trust you. Thanks, coach. Appreciate that. That's really helpful. How do you develop trust in a locker room? So the how is what we've really dug into in all of those meetings. So you give them tools, and that's always the thing is guys, every one of these meetings we have, you're going to leave with something, an actual tool to do the thing we're asking you to do. Okay, we got to be more confrontational as leaders. We've got to be more willing to get out of our comfort zones and call guys out when they're not doing things the right way. That's extremely challenging. So to give guys 2 or 3 tools that they can actually put into practice and get better at, that's what the development's been all about, and those curriculums have been all about. But I just kick myself for that we didn't do that before. But doing that and seeing the tools now and seeing them put them into work at practice today in the weight room every day, it's been tremendous.
50, not an exaggeration.
No, I mean, legitimately, it was average 50. The first week was 49, then we were 53, and the thing that you have some guys with class conflicts that we're even doing makeups. And the coach, I can't come. I got tutoring at 4, and so we had to start doing a Wednesday morning makeup for some of those guys as well. And it was like I was totally blown away. It was. I knew we needed it. I just didn't know that they'd be that interested in it. I mean, it's more or less what it is. It's a leadership class. I mean, most college kids ain't signing up for extra class time, and that's what it is. I mean, it's a PowerPoint presentation. There's discussions in there, but it's just us up here. We're just talking about how to do the leadership stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I knew the 16 leaders would like it because I knew they would get value in it. But to have that many guys voluntarily show up, and it's just fun because it's Ethan Vasco, who's gonna have to lead this program someday. But to think about that he's getting those reps and learning what leadership is right now, how much is that gonna pay off in the long run? And then as we continue to do this and develop this down the road, I look at this and I think this is something that for us we've always done this with culture, right? That's one thing. We've always taught our guys the how of culture. That's one thing that we do that, is probably relatively unique, but why not do it with leadership as well? So I think that's been, I could give you guys a bunch of weight room data where we're getting, because we are training in some pretty cool places. But to me, those are the things that, once again, they impact the process the most, and the process is what gives us the results we want. So we're in a pretty cool place with some of those things. Take a little bit of a break on that part through spring ball so we can get focused on the main thing, keep these guys targeted on what they do. But as soon as spring ball's done, we'll get right back into it.
Coach, is that increased interest in the leadership aspect? I mean, maybe it's obvious, but just put a point on it. Is that attributable to the success they had last year, coming close, seeing growth, and maybe seeing now what could be in front of them?
I think so, absolutely. I think that's the one thing is, so I guess what I didn't finish what I was saying the first time about the complacency thing. We didn't get any resistance towards that. Like, there was never a day that, and when the coaches were out recruiting, that I'd walk in here and go, man, I just feel like we gotta find a way to tweak some things, because I think the first day we talked about it, the first team meeting, we hit a couple points about how we weren't going to become that, and they never looked back. And so, to answer that question, I think absolutely. The guys see how close we can be, but they're educated and they know how close that can go either way. And they know that just as hard as it is to go up 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 wins, what it takes to go down 2 or 3 or 4 wins. And so I think it's after feeling that success after so many years of not having it, and guys seeing seniors like Earl Bostic, who had won, 8 or 9 games their entire careers, I think they want to protect what we've done with every single molecule in their bodies, and they want to find a way to get that next level of, because at the same time, you saw a couple of things go a couple other ways. Things don't shake out the way they shook out this year. But they also saw that in the positive way as well. There's a couple of those games, you pick 3 or 4 of those losses, that there's 5 to 6 plays that you can pick out and go, if we do these things a little bit better, if we're a little bit more accountable, if we're a little bit more disciplined to where we are, if we don't make this poor decision, those games go the opposite direction. So how close you are to really getting where these guys really want to get to. So, yeah, I think for sure. I think a big part of it is protecting what we've done, and they don't ever want it to go back to where it was. And then also the motivation of once again, like I talked about, elevating of where we're currently at.
Hey, Matt, I was watching Gage. He's out there today. Big guy. Looks
Yep.
pretty explosive.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him?
So Gage, it's fun to watch their expectations for themselves change once I kind of get through things. So, I remember Gage on his visit, we were kind of talking about, where do you think your body weight would maybe end up come August, with your speed and, everything else. I think to keep my speed at probably like, 275, be a little bit of a leaner kind of guy. He's 285 right now, and he's already improved his miles per hour by 3 miles per hour since he's gotten here. So he's gained almost 17 pounds. Once again, his body has changed tremendously, and that's just, one, his buy into the program, the nutrition. He's been a guy that's been at every single one of those leadership meetings. And so the thing that he brings that's unique, though, he is wildly explosive. His first step, his punch, his vertical jump, like we eval every new player that comes to this program. We put them on those fancy force plates downstairs, and we can measure how fast they produce force, how much force. He's fast, he's strong. And the way he goes about it matches our culture too as well. Like, he's not a guy that never had any resistance with anything. So for him, that's been a very smooth transition, and it's why he's been able to get the results he's been. We didn't have to spend 3 weeks teaching him how we do it. He came in and he met the standard quickly, and he's honestly helped elevate it in a lot of ways.
You mentioned him, I guess, across the defensive front. How much more pop is there athletically there compared to maybe when you guys got here in 18 to 20 minutes?
Yeah, you're seeing more in just in general. You're just seeing more depth and more development now, right? But yeah, the bodies like that he's gonna what Gage is gonna give to us. I think what Devin's gonna give to us in a sense of just a bigger body he bends very well. He is very explosive. He can come off the ball very low. I think you look at guys on the outside, future wise. I tell Dean and Austin Booker, every day, like, you guys, and being those young bodies, like, you guys should be, tormenting this conference. And I tell them that I say those two names because they train together every day in the same rack. So I'm like, you two should be just tormenting this conference together with the body types, the length, the size, the speed those two guys have. So I think and then you have the foundational guys we've had here, the Tommy Dunns, the DJ Withers, that are those younger guys, and even Demarion is up to 265. I mean, there's some guys that are really changing their bodies. So.
Time for one more. Yeah.
What was the kind of off-season regimen to get the body ready for Jalen Daniels?
Still work on in process. That's something that when Jalen gets to the level where he's at, and then coming off the injury, it's a day-to-day thing. And it's something that you have to, the idea is number one, is kind of what I've told him, is Jalen, we want to get you foundationally in a really good place, and then we're going to make you freaking bulletproof. And that's our goal. And so we're in that process now of looking at everything. And making sure we get him into a position where we can do that. We don't want to add to a foundation that's still, whether it's working up or whatever it may be. So great foundation, and then making bulletproof would be it.
Curious with Spencer Lovell, strength-wise, I guess, where is he at, and what stands out? What does it look like to you?
Yeah, Spencer is, Spencer kind of reminds me of like a defensive or an offensive version of Sam Burt. He's going to be the first one in. He's going to be super, super diligent. He's kind of got that older man strength kind of vibe to him. Sam was wildly mature. You talk to Spencer, you feel like, he's taken 3 laps around the world already. So he brings a lot of that, in everything that he does. So very detail oriented. It's ironic sometimes. He just reminds me of that kind of type of person, a little more reserved, kind of like Sam was, and they got a lot in common in a lot of different ways.
Let's go.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.